So Herrscher of Rebirth Seele isn't a Herrscher? This is what we are going to talk about today, and we will see what our boy Homu Labs has for us. And as usual, I'll leave a link to the original video in the description below in case you want to check it out for yourself. Now, before we start, don't forget to subscribe, like and share to support the channel. And without any further ado, let us get started and see what our boy Homu Labs has for us.
Honkai is finally over and all the Honkai energy is being siphoned to the moon. I guess we won't be seeing any more Herrschers, right, however? I mean,
wrong.
Reason to. I'm sure that you wouldn't just milk the concept over and over, right? Hoyovers? Can you hear me?
Hello?
Hoyovers?
It's a game?
After
It's literally
Rebirth,
like seriously, it's literally a gacha game that lives on selling you characters. So how are they not going to give you more Herrschers? It's just like literally like any other gacha game. It lives on selling you characters.
People were confused. As far as we knew, all the Honkai energy on Earth is being siphoned to the moon by Kiana, so a new Herrscher should be impossible, right? Well, not really. However, cleverly brought forth a new Herrscher while keeping true
and
to
I
their
like the
established
fact that they did actually stick along with their actually concept without breaking it, and they managed to somehow be able to get actually a Herrscher. That was a very smart move from them.
Herrscher in quotation marks because Herrscher of Rebirth is not really a Herrscher. I mean, she is, but not in the traditional sense. It's complicated, okay? But fear not. In this video I'm going to explain everything you need to know about Herrscher of Rebirth Seele, including how she's able to, well, exist. I mean, did you really think that Hoyoverse wouldn't find a way to milk their most profitable type of battlesuit just because part 1 ended?
Not a chance.
You're really underestimating them. But
not a
before we
chance.
begin, I want to address a small misunderstanding about Honkai and Herrschers. The argument people like to bring up is that Honkai is sealed on the moon, so there shouldn't be enough left to create new Herrschers. Keep in mind that the word sealed is a very early APHO remnant that doesn't quite fit the current situation. Kiana literally tells us in chapter 35 that she will siphon the Honkai energy from the Earth to the moon. The Honkai is not really sealed, but it's redirected to the moon for a while. This is done for a couple of reasons. 1. To allow Earth to heal after Project Stigma, and 2. To find a way to convert Honkai energy into regular energy so that humanity can use it as a resource. Honkai is not meant to be gone forever, and it's not really sealed away. But anyway, let's get down to business. First, let's start with a simple question. What is a Herrscher? In chapter 34, we learned that Herrschers are projections of the Cocoon of Finality's powers through different dimensions. Think of a light source, aka the cocoon, that sends light through, let's say, a prism, aka dimensions, to a fixed place, aka Earth. As light passes through the prism, it splits into multiple parallel rays. All those rays are the cocoon's power manifested as different Herrscher authorities. Now, the next question is, why? Well, we didn't have a concrete answer before besides just this is how the cocoon works, I guess. The new story arc reveals that the cocoon is like a system that can root itself in the laws governing the world itself and manipulate them to a certain extent. That is why when there is a large amount of Honkai energy in a place, an imaginary singularity, otherwise known as a Herrscher core, will form, usually inside the body of a host with strong enough Honkai adaptability. But keep in mind, there have been cases of Herrscher cores appearing without a host too. We also learn in the finale of part 1 that Herrschers can have more types of authorities than we know of, but PE used a technology called imaginary group renormalization, aka Wheel of Honkai, to manipulate the Herrscher cycle of the current era and make it as close as possible to the previous era, so that humanity could use the information that...
Imagine if the previous era didn't do that and we had to face the Cocoon of Finality always with different Herrschers. That would have been absolutely insane. We would have not had actually even an idea of what is coming.
That there can be other Herrscher authorities, not just the 12 that we know of. Now, let's take a moment to talk about the nature of a Herrscher. Like I said, another name for a Herrscher core is imaginary singularity, so we can deduce that Herrschers are, well, imaginary. In fact, we've known for quite a while now that Honkai energy has a connection with imaginary energy. This makes the birth of HORB seem like quite an anomaly. Professor Rock puts it best during the recent story arc by saying that a Herrscher born in the Sea of Quanta is a paradox since Herrschers are imaginary in nature. But now that we have HORB, does that mean that a Herrscher can be quantum? Well, no, not really. Herrscher of Rebirth is still very much imaginary while also being born in the Sea of Quanta. In fact, throughout the recent chapters, they even put the emphasis on the fact that they are trying to create an imaginary singularity. But then, the next question is, how could a Herrscher appear in a bubble world? Well, to explain that, we have to talk about Sa. During the latest story arc, a new entity called Sa was introduced as a new antagonist. Sa is referred to as the abyss of the Sea of Quanta by the Sugars. They are an entity that imitates the cocoon of finality and has the power to change the laws of the bubble worlds in the Sea of Quanta. Sa can create a system where the wishes of the people from the said bubble worlds become reality. Through this system, the bubble worlds are brought to the brink of destruction, and Sa collects all the energy released when these bubble worlds perish over and over again. Later,
I really hope that in the chapter 41 we are going to see some more of Sa, because right now we didn't see anything. We know that it is actually Vita, or at least the original Vita, and that she is creating actually different Vitas to go and to destroy different universes, and she uses her power to do so. So we still don't know even how she looks, because yes, she might look like the original Vita, but most likely she will look a little bit different for sure. So I really hope that we can see her now.
Actually, the real Vita, or whatever she ended up becoming after she gained powers from the sea.
Yeah, exactly. We don't even know if she looks the same anymore.
We are still not sure what Sa is. I really hope that the second half of part 1.5 will give us more answers. Is Sa the same species as the cocoon? I don't think so. But what's interesting is that the characters repeatedly point out that Sa imitates the cocoon. The main word here being imitate. This leads me to believe that Sa is not the same as the cocoon, but it imitates its behavior. Just like the cocoon, Sa roots itself in...
But it still has so much power, because it can literally change the rules of a universe, so that is a lot.
Of the bubble worlds and controls them through its system. You can think of both Sa and the cocoon as computer programs that have certain functionalities, and one of them is creating Herrschers. In other words, just like how Herrschers are normally born through the cocoon's system, they can also be born through Sa's system. This is why I said in the beginning that Herrscher of Rebirth is not really a Herrscher. If we refer to Herrschers as beings born from the cocoon of finality, then she is something else entirely, since she was born from Sa. But in nature, she is still a Herrscher. It's like having two programs that do the same thing. While the end result is the same, the origin is different. During the 6.8 Chinese dev livestream, the developers referred to Seele's situation as something similar to convergent evolution. Although I don't think that it's the best analogy, it's pretty much the only analogy that they could have given. Convergent evolution is when two different species end up alike due to them.
Now we are having evolution evolution lecture.
Ants and termites. While at a first glance someone would think that these two species are related due to their similarities, in reality ants and termites have completely different genetic backgrounds and ended up looking similar due to how both species adapted to their environment. While ants are believed to have evolved from early predatory wasps, termites share more genetic material with cockroaches. So, using that analogy, while HRB's origin is completely different, she still works like a normal Herrscher. Contrary to what many people think, Herrscher of Rebirth is imaginary. Even though she was born in the Sea of Quanta, her Herrscher core is still an imaginary singularity.
Yeah,
It
true.
doesn't matter who controls the Honkai energy in the bubble world. Be it the Cocoon or Sa, Honkai energy is still imaginary in nature. The Cocoon and Sa can have control over Honkai energy through their systems, but Honkai energy can exist independently of them. This was revealed by Schrödinger in chapter 38 when she said that Honkai can manifest in different ways in different bubble worlds from the sea, and that the Cocoon has control over Honkai energy only in the world it chooses to operate, aka the real world for now. So, to
Okay.
reiterate, Herrscher of Rebirth is not quantum. She's literally imaginary even lore-wise. But for balance purposes, she was made psychic in-game. This should serve as a lesson for the people complaining about her not being quantum, that context matters and that we shouldn't judge a character before we have all the information.
Facts.
Now that we understand the nature and origins of HRB, let's talk about how exactly she came into existence. Initially, to save the bubble world from Sa's influence, Schrödinger proposed the idea of a Herrscher born in the Sea of Quanta. Since regular Herrschers like Senti were tied to the proper world and not to the bubble universe, they couldn't transcend finality in this bubble world, so
Yeah.
they needed a Herrscher tied to this place itself. Unfortunately, due to the lack of information, Schrödinger declared the plan impossible, since the only way to create a Herrscher was through the Cocoon, and the Cocoon was in the real world. But Schrödinger's perspective changed after they learned more about Sa. Because Sa was imitating the Cocoon, it had the same functionality, which meant that their plan became possible, because unlike the Cocoon from the proper world, Sa's system was right in front of them. All they needed to do to create an imaginary singularity was to gather a large amount of Honkai energy in one place. To achieve that, Prometheus designed a precise task for everybody on the team. Prometheus was going to do something that only she could do. The two Seles were tasked to use the Sage's authority to support the rest. Kira had to gather the Honkai energy necessary to create the singularity with the Sugar Key. And you, dear viewer, were tasked with subscribing to the channel and giving this video a thumbs up if you want to support me and see more Honkai content in the future. Also, since Kira was the most
he forgot about Mr. Lin. She literally sacrificed herself to get to understand the Sa a little bit more.
Designated Kira as the host for the new imaginary singularity, thus the Herrscher of Tone Deafness was born.
Come on!
After the plan started, Dark Seele realized that there was more to it than Prometheus let them know. Because they suspected that Sa was omniscient and was aware of every single word that they said and action they took, Prometheus formulated the plan in a way that would raise some red flags with the rest of the team. While Prometheus delegated Kira as the Herrscher candidate and the two Seles as supports, the AI was actually implying that everybody should try to achieve the same thing and become a Herrscher in a roundabout way to bypass Sa's omniscience. Prometheus hoped that Sa was only omniscient and not omnipotent, meaning that Sa couldn't stop everyone at the same time and that at least one of them would be able to create a new Herrscher before it was too late. Prometheus
And that was
also
true.
had her own plan that she kept secret from the rest. She wanted to use the same technology that PE used to put a restraint on the Cocoon, aka Imaginary Renormalization Group, to create a new Wheel of Honkai, but this time inside Sa's system, and use it to create the new Herrscher that way. It's important to mention that because Sa is less than a tenth of the Cocoon's size, it cannot control the Herrschers created through its system. If Sa was more than a tenth of the Cocoon's size, it could have used the Threads of Fate to take control of the new Herrscher in the same way that the Cocoon did before Elysia cut off the threads. As Prometheus found Sa's roots in this bubble world, she was stopped by Vita, who was revealed to be Sa's proxy and was given authority by it. In the meantime, Kira used the sugar key to gather Honkai energy, and it was revealed that she couldn't become a Herrscher anyway, since
true.
she didn't have the necessary Honkai
And she knew about it all along as well.
Into a zombie or a Honkai beast before a Herrscher. Despite Vita's interventions and with Schrodinger's help, Kira managed to gather enough Honkai energy to form an imaginary singularity. In the meantime, the two Seles tried to gather Honkai energy by destroying the runes used by Satu's story. To protect Seele from harm, Dark Seele used the Honkai energy to separate Light Seele from the body and transform her into an existence similar to an abnormal stigma. After that, she tried to gather Honkai energy by herself but failed to become a Herrscher. As the merging of the two bubble worlds happened, everybody basically died. And
poor
the
Veliona.
masterless Herrscher core resulted from Kira's sacrifice found a new host, since Dark Seele was subconsciously rejecting it. As she was about to dissolve in the sea, the new Herrscher core attached itself to Light Seele and created a new body for her. That is when it was revealed that the new Herrscher had the authority of creation and withering, paralleling the Herrscher of Death from the Cocoon's side. Using the authority of creation, Seele fought Vita, uprooted Sa's rules from this world, and created new bodies for her allies and inhabitants of the bubble world. It's important to note that the Herrscher of Death/Rebirth cannot revive people. Arrow explained in the past that because the soul dissipates very rapidly when someone dies, not even the Herrscher of Death can bring them back. All it can do is create a body for the soul to inhabit but not bring it back. But due to Vita going easy on them and the unique rules of the bubble world, the souls of the people who died remained there, and Seele used her authority to make new bodies for them. I repeat, she was able to save them only because of the special circumstances of this bubble world. In any other situation, the Herrscher of Death/Rebirth could not have brought them back. Before I end this video, I want to give a shout out to a YouTube comment made by user YTT on the You and Me cutscene posted on the official Honkai Impact 3rd YouTube channel. The comment analyzes the lyrics of the song, how they mirror real processes in physics, and how these processes are reflected in the story of the two Seles. If you want to read the comment for yourself, I'll leave a link in the description. I promise that if you like Seele even a moderate amount, it will be a worthy read. The comment also made me think about the whole story arc and how even though we got Herrscher of Rebirth Seele by the end, the real protagonist was Dark Seele all along. Don't get me wrong, Seele matured a lot, but all her growth happened pretty much before the story arc itself. You can already see how much she changed during chapter 36. The one who truly matured and grew during this arc was Dark Seele. When Light Seele told Dark Seele that she wanted to remain separated even after all the fiasco in the bubble universe, it hit me that the purpose of this story was to finally bring the two Seles on an even playing field. Light Seele points this out herself. It was never fair for Dark Seele to have less than half the time Light Seele had. Because she left Light Seele in control most of the time, she missed opportunities to grow, make friends, and experience more meaningful things that could help her know herself. This resulted in Dark Seele being a lot more immature than Light Seele, a fact recognized by both herself and Senti. Even after Light Seele accepted her as an equal and shared the body with her without any restraints, Dark Seele was still left behind. While Light Seele could live her life and grow as a person, Dark Seele could not. Light Seele wanted them to separate to allow Dark Seele to grow and change. She didn't want to keep holding her back. Dark Seele never had a true friend besides Seele up until that moment, and it was very nice to see how she and Senti developed
the best friendship ever.
By the end of this arc, Dark Seele managed to grow precisely because she wasn't tied to Light Seele anymore. She accepted the kindness of the people around her and Light Seele's determination. The old her would have never left Seele to fight Vita alone. But since the two of them trust each other unconditionally now, she knew that Seele would be fine. This separation not only allowed them to grow as individuals, but also strengthened their bond more than ever. All in all, this was
And
an
it made
incredible
Bronya
story
happier.
arc. Sure, it had some pacing issues, but overall it was a great story with a lot of character development.
So, here you have it. Now you know why Herrscher of Rebirth Seele isn't actually a Herrscher. Well, she is actually a Herrscher, but not exactly like other Herrschers. Anyways, I hope that this video was useful for you, and if it was, don't forget to subscribe my channel, and make sure to watch the original video as well to support our boy Homu Labs, because he is a goat when it comes to information about Honkai Impact 3rd. He really is just a machine of information. So yeah, basically this was everything for today. Don't forget to subscribe, like and share to support the channel, and with that being said, Rami the Honkai King is out of here.